My name is Albert Torcaso, and this is Humanity Matters Live. I want to start by making a statement. And that statement is absolutely imperative to this episode. And that statement is actually not fully mine, but partly it is Abraham Lincoln's. Abraham Lincoln was president of the United States from 1860, I believe, to 1865. He was the president that was in office during the Great Civil War of the North and the Southern states of the United States of America. It was called a war by many, many, many different names. But it was a war that defined America in many ways. It was a war for freedom for an entire segment of our society, a race. And that is history. And you can look that up through books or the internet. But one of his speeches, in which he had many speeches, he said that all men had a right to honorable employment and a fair chance in the race of life. And yes, we should have not disregarded women. We should not have disregarded people who are not white. But those words and the principles behind it are absolutely what we should aspire to be. A nation where all people have a right to honorable employment, but more importantly, a fair chance in the race of life. Now we come to the year 2020. And in many ways, the Civil War is still going on. The North, or the Union, won the battle, the military battle. But the evils and the subjugations and discriminations and murders of many non-white peoples still reigns around this country. It is very, very prevalent and present. And so we come to this time in history. I speak to you on June the 6th, 2020. As I speak, there are many protests going on throughout the nation. But many people who are not Black Americans or of any color do not agree with the protest, or they don't see the need, or they don't have an opinion either way. And we would be dishonest if we didn't say discrimination happens with all pigmentations. Whether you're white, you're African American, you are Hispanic, you're Middle Eastern, you're Asian, it doesn't matter. It particularly, we see discrimination amongst the people who are poor, extraordinarily poor, and even the middle class. We see limitations on the majority of Americans, of all Americans. And so one might say, well, if that's the case, Albert, why should the Black Americans be protesting? And why should they maybe have a hand up or a handout, not a handout, but a hand up, as opposed to a poor white man or a poor Asian man or a poor Hispanic or Middle Eastern man or woman? And the answer is, although all of those peoples have been discriminated against, the majority of discrimination, humiliation, oppression, repression, and in many cases murders have happened to the Black American. But if you're a white woman or a white man, why should this matter to you? It should matter if you believe in the principles of the United States of America. It should matter if you believe in Abraham Lincoln's words, all men ought to have a right to honorable employment and a fair chance in the race of life, or further, all people. It should matter to you if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God, if you are a Christian, if you purport to be a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Sikh, a Buddhist, or whichever belief you may have. Segregation is evil. What's going on with many law enforcement officers throughout our country is murder, unjustified, and evil. So do we condemn every officer of the law? And in a way, the answer, yes, we must, until they take a stand. When we condemn them, do we mean that there are no good officers? Absolutely not. The condemnation would come due to the thin blue line or the code of silence or not reporting, even anonymously, when you know that there's someone bad amongst you, one who attacks a certain race or sexual orientation or woman or whatever. It is incumbent upon all officers who are good officers, who really want to protect. I say to you, ma'am, and to you, sir, it is time for you to erase the thin blue line and to erase the code of silence and the hush-hush. I say to you that even though it could risk your career and sometimes your life, I realize what I'm asking, what we, the people, are asking. But why did you become a police officer? If it was to help people and serve and protect, we do not serve and protect one. We serve and protect all. We do not allow bad police to continue their evil. You must stand up and be the hero that you are. You must find a way secretly to report all the bad officers. And finally, we as a people, all of us, must work to not profile Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Muslim Americans, or Native Americans. It is not that we are prejudiced, but if we are to be honest, Who amongst us, no matter your own pigmentation, you may be an African American? How many times have you seen a group of men and women who were African American and under 30 years old, and you either got nervous or you passed judgment? How many? It doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, whatever pigmentation you may be. It would be dishonest of you and of anyone to say that that hasn't happened. And that does not mean we are prejudiced. That does not mean that we are evil. It means that our society has taught us to fear the black person. Well, I am here to tell you, I don't fear our sisters and brothers, our aunts and uncles. I don't fear the black American. In fact, I love the black American as I love the white American, the Asian American, the Hispanic American, the Muslim American, you name it. On a spiritual level, I love everyone. It is time that we judge everyone on their actions. And we stop discrimination. And we stop the conditions that many times drive people to do what they otherwise would not do. Let us look at the truth. And it is hard. And I suspect no one will watch this entire episode. Maybe you will. And if you do, I am proud of you. But if we are being honest, society has really kept a lot of people down. The majority of poor people, doesn't matter the pigmentation, the majority have entry-level jobs, do not get opportunities to go to college to better their education, and do not get the chance to go from extraordinary poverty, upgrade it to poverty, to eventually middle class, rich, middle class, upper middle class, rich, and then wealthy. The majority of poor people, it does not matter your pigmentation or nationality or whatever, you don't even get a chance to get into the game, if you will, to use an analogy. It's time we find a way to bring everybody into the equation. So I now call on every politician in the United States of America, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever you are, I call on everyone from the community politicians, township politicians, county politicians, city, state, and our federal government. I call upon every member of Congress, be they Republican, Independent, or Democrat, to change our nation. I call upon the Republican Party, Senator Mitch McConnell, who, quite frankly, Senator McConnell, you have been an abomination and an embarrassment to this nation. Your actions, and frankly, racist actions, not allowing President Barack Obama to have his Supreme Court nominee even have a hearing, even though many Republicans and Democrats both liked Merrick Garland. You have been a disgrace to both parties. But we cannot go back. We cannot and we will not worry about the past. So I call on you, Senator Mitch McConnell, to stop being wrong, stop being evil, stop being prejudiced, and take your entire party the Republican Party and do what is right. Do what is right. Work to have new legislation, work with the House of Representatives, with Democrats, with independents, with other Republicans, and let our nation have equality. Let us find the money, Mitch McConnell. Let us find the money, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and everyone else. Let us find the monies to have universal education, universal shelter, meaning everyone would have money and the ability to have a house, an apartment to rent or own. Let us, of course, have universal health care. Let us educate our professors in every private and public college and university, and have no American be denied an education. Let us make us a better nation. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party, and those Democrats who look at the money first, let us erase the old times. Let us erase the old lies and the ways to keep us down. Let us make changes. Let us make them now. For every black American, for every poor American. Now you would say, where's the money coming from? But Senator McConnell, you know where the money is. It is just that you and Democrats and other Republicans have allowed special interest, the extraordinary wealthy, and multinational corporations steal our democracy and our ability to be the greatest nation of all time. You've taken money or donations, and you have given the power to the corporations and other industries. And all the while, a majority of black Americans work entry-level jobs. A majority of black Americans feel like second or fourth-class citizens. A majority of the poor, which I will include myself, we feel helpless, many times hopeless. But we will no longer accept this, politicians of the world, and specifically here. I call upon every single American. I don't care what your ideology is. I am calling on you to vote out every Republican in the United States Senate that you can, every Democrat in the United States Senate that you can, every Republican in the House of Representatives, United States House of Representatives that you can, every Democrat in the United States House of Representatives that you can, unless those senators, be they Republican or be they Democrat, join with us, the people, in changing this nation for the better. No longer will we have laws that benefit the stocks and Wall Street. No longer will we have multinational corporations control the monies. And no longer will we allow the COVID-19 funds that were supposed to go for small businesses, the mom and pop stores, and they went to massive corporations such as Louis Kritz Steakhouse. We will no longer allow this. We will legally, ethically, peacefully protest in every street. We will call you. We will text you. We will email you. We will come to your town halls. We will petition you to change this nation. But we will do it legally. We will do it peacefully. We shall do it ethically. But make no mistake, there are two more elements. Senator McConnell, Senator Schumer, and anyone and everyone. Two more massive elements that we will use our legal and peaceful and financial power, and what we shall do from henceforth, those who will listen, we shall vote in every primary election. We shall vote in every general election, and we will vote out all Republicans who will not make the changes. We will vote out all independents who will not make the changes. We will vote out all Democrats who will not yield and do what is right. Now, we will vote you out. This November 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and forever. Unto all of you who will not do what is right are now out of office. But we shall not wait till November of this year. This economy is in bad shape because of the COVID-19. Many are suffering financially, including myself. I call on every Republican, every Democrat, every conservative, every liberal, every progressive, every libertarian. Put $50 a week or every pay period away. Lock it up and do not use it on anything for any reason, even if it hurts. I call on you to save $2,400 or more per year. Take it out of the economy and save it for a year, 2 years, or more. And if you can amass $5,000 to $16,000 to $100,000 by taking the money out every pay period, I call on every conservative to do so. I call on every liberal to do so. I call on each and every one of you. And I call on each and every one of you to call your 3 members of Congress. I call on you to dial 1-202-224-3121. I call on you to text them. I call on you to go to www.senate.gov. I call on you to go to www.house.gov. I call on you to use every legal means, every financial means, and I do not care if you are amongst the poorest person in America. You, sir, you, ma'am, have the power. As a matter of fact, you have more power than every corporation and every politician on the planet. But you need not believe in me. Look at what COVID-19 has done. 40 million of our fellow Americans, possibly you or your family, have been out of work. So this is the time to demand a living wage. And if our mom and pop stores and businesses cannot afford to pay a living wage, then we will petition the government of the United States of America to subsidize them. We will legally, we will peacefully demand that the words of Abraham Lincoln, a Republican president, we shall demand that all men, that all women have a right to a fair chance in the race of life, with or without regards to whether they can work. They may be physically disabled. They may be mentally disabled, but they have a right to a fair chance in the race of life. And Senator Mitch McConnell, if Abraham Lincoln was living today, he would probably work to try you for treason and have you have life imprisonment. I will not mince my words. But understand this, Senator Mitch McConnell. We will forgive you if you and every Republican will do what is right. Heed the words of Abraham Lincoln. Heed the words of Abraham Lincoln. All men, in this case, all Americans, all people, have a right to honorable employment. A living wage would make it an honorable employment. They have a right, we have a right to honorable employment and a fair chance in the race of life. Words of Abraham Lincoln, senators in the Republican Party, representatives, state legislators, mayors, whatever you may be, governors. Let us make the words of Abraham Lincoln a reality. Now, we look at these protests. So many have so many different opinions. But it makes me happy to see Asian Americans protesting with our brothers and sisters who are called African American. We should not be called African American. We should not be called Caucasian American. We shall not be called Asian American. We shall not be called Native American. We shall not be called Hispanic or anything. We are human beings. We all belong to one race, the Homo sapien. The Homo sapiens. We are Homo sapiens. We are humans. We belong to the human race. It is high time we hear the words of the Lord thy God. And we treat everyone with love. I do not see pigmentation, not because I am so prejudiced person, but because a person matters to me. Every person, even those who are doing wrong. And on a larger scale, you mean something to me. But when I meet a person, it doesn't matter their age, their sexual orientation, whether they're atheist or Christian or Buddhist or Muslim. I judge them on them and nothing else other than their own self. I don't judge them on pigmentation. I don't judge them on nationality. I love people from every pigmentation. I have had friends from Africa. I have had friends from China, Hong Kong, the Philippines, you name it. And I love them all. I have a great friend named Attila, and he's distantly related to Attila the Hun. I don't look at a person and say, oh, they're whatever color they may be of the rainbow. I say, that's John. That's Jane. That's Shaniqua. That's Lori. That's Ellison. That's Habib. How many of you have watched episodes of Humanity Matters Live in the last 16 years? Do you not understand Humanity Matters? Do you not understand that black lives matter? That black lives are no different than white lives? Black lives are no different or less important than white or Asian or Muslim or whatever. Do you not understand yet that until we, the white race, or Native American or Asian or whatever pigmentation or nationality or whatever origin we may be from, we must stand side by side with our family. And we are all family. We are the human race, the Homo sapiens. But we act so inhumane, so many of us. What happened to George Floyd was murder, was inhumane. Part of it was because of profiling. And so many people want to point out that those who are not necessarily racist, but not in agreement with the protest, they will say, well, there are a higher rates of crime from the African American. And they like to point that out. But they forget the causations that may or may not lead to that. If you have nothing and no opportunity, you may one day find yourself doing something you wouldn't otherwise do. Or maybe the reason why there's so much incarceration is poor representation, discrimination, and an unjust justice system or judicial system. We cannot say that there's a higher rate of criminal behavior and leave it go. If you were in that situation and your family needed to eat, or you never had opportunity, do you know what you might do? You can be an Asian man, highly educated, but if you had no opportunity, or an Asian woman, if you had no chance, or Native American, or white, it doesn't matter. Place yourself in a situation where you had no opportunity. Now, some will say, well, what about reverse discrimination? That is wrong as well. But it is also understandable. It may not be right, but we must give opportunity to those who have not had it. So if we can get our leaders in D.C., Pennsylvania, and in every capital, and every county, and every city or township to do what is right, to create legislation, then all men and women will have a fair chance in the race of life. And where will this money come? Where's all this money coming from, Albert? There is so much hidden currency, my friends, around this nation. And many of our corporations that you and I use and go to are multinational. Many of them are hiding money illegally or even legally in other countries. If they start paying their taxes, if they are made by the Republican Party and the Democratic Party to pay their taxes, we will have more than enough money. Before the pandemic, there was officially at least $89 trillion in America. And that was the money they knew about, the currency they knew about. 89 trillion with a T. That was the money and currency they knew about, or assets. So if that's what they knew about, think about all the hidden money. Yes, we have enough money for universal medical care. Yes, we have enough money for universal housing. Yes, we have enough money for universal education. And we have enough money to feed every hungry person in America 10 times over. Every day. And for the rest of their life. We have enough money to pay you a living wage. To give you hope no matter your pigmentation or your situation. Now some will say, Al, where are your facts? Where's your data to back it up? First of all, much of my data came from conservative information. I found out about the $89 trillion from a former radio station, KQV. See, we have it. But our members, both Democrats and Republicans in D.C., and our state legislators, have been made to have laws to benefit those who have the money. But you see, my fellow Americans, we are the larger team. If everyone living paycheck to paycheck, legally and financially protest, maybe not in the streets, but by saving your money and taking it out of the economy, if we all join together, there will not be one leader in D.C. that can deny us. There will not be one leader in your state that can deny you. And I also want to go back in history again. There was a president in the early 60s. You may have heard of him. John F. Kennedy. He once said that we would go to the moon in this decade. The decade of the 60s at the time. When he said that, so many scientists thought it impossible, here and abroad. In 1969, man landed on the moon. Man and humanity landed on the moon. Let's go back to what JFK said. He didn't know 100% that we could do it. But he said, in this decade, we will go to the moon. And America, my fellow Americans, my fellow Pittsburgh, PA residents, we went to the moon. Now, just a few weeks ago, Elon Musk and Spacex made history, being the first private company to launch American astronauts into orbit. And now they are at the space station. Many scientists and many people probably at NASA did not think that Elon Musk, I hope I said his name right, and SpaceX could do it. And they had a lot of failures. But they have just completed, less than a few weeks ago, they completed making history. Now you sitting at home, impoverished, without hope, how does going to the moon in 1969 and landing and blasting off and landing, successfully landing and going to the space station with Elon Musk and his SpaceX, how does that help your life? It should inspire you. People will say that what I said cannot be done. But remember, we had gone to the moon when no one thought it possible. People will say, We cannot afford universal education, universal health care, universal housing, and universal medical care. People will say that. But those same people did not believe Spacex could be successful. People will say, we will never see a day when the African American is on the same level of equality as all Americans, as white Americans, where there will not be any profiling. People will say that. But with God, all things are possible. And my atheist and agnostic friends, I love you spiritually. But there is a higher power. And if you, sir, and if you, ma'am, believe in a God, if you ever prayed for any reason, or if you are a patriotic American, you must believe in the impossible being possible. Just because it has not been done yet does not mean that it cannot be done. Just because we have seen terrorism against our fellow Americans does not mean it must always be there. Just because we lost our brother George Floyd and others does not mean we need to lose any more. We are America. Are we not the same nation that says we are the land of the free and the home of the brave? Are we not that country? Land of the free? Home of the brave? How is it land of the free? I ask you, how is this the land of the free when segments of society fears going out? How is it the land of the free when needs-based disabled Americans cannot even get married to the people they love? Because if they do, they will lose their funding and may even lose their lives. How is it the land of the free when 76% of our fellow Americans are only surviving paycheck to paycheck? That is not the land of the free. That is the land of the marginalized, oppressed, limited. But I believe we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yet we must use the courage that we can muster to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. We must protest with all pigmentations, whether we can do it virtually or through saving money. We must demand from Washington, D.C. that they do what is right. We must demand from our state capitals and our county and our cities and our townships that they do what is right. And we must demand that private companies of all sizes does what is right. We must remember the words that all men, that all people have a right to a fair chance in the race of life. We must not hide, run, and say this is not right. Now, we must also address the looters, those doing criminal acts. It is wrong what they're doing. These angry men and women must pay for what they have done. But we, in a larger sense, must erase their hatred and their anger by providing hope, by providing security that if I am a black man, I do not have to run from the police. I do not have to be in fear of the police. That if I'm a black woman, I don't have to fear the police. That if I'm a Middle Eastern person, I don't have to fear the police. If I fear the police, those who are supposed to protect me if I must fear the police, then this is not a land of the free. I shouldn't be profiled or be assuming that I'm a criminal. Why is it that if a white man or white woman goes into the store with a hoodie on and a pair of sunglasses, they're not immediately suspected of a crime? But if you are Hispanic or if you are black, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my gosh. This is wrong, America. And I will not sit by and remain silent. I do not care if one person on the planet watches this episode. I truly do not. If you will not listen to what is truth, if you will not care, if you will not have compassion, if you will not have the love that God has asked us to have, then that is on you and your soul. But my soul will love. My soul will care. My voice will speak. And I will not go back. Nor will I retreat. Like the song says, ain't nobody gonna turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. You see, my spirit believes in the Lord thy God. My spirit believes in Jesus. My spirit believes that all people matter. All people matter. It doesn't matter if you're white, blue, green, black. I don't really care. I love you. I may not like the way you act, but I love you. And I will not give you a pass. If I won't give myself a pass, I won't give you a pass. And I will not remain silent. Now I want to share with you where I am filming this. I am sitting in my vehicle, but I am in a cemetery. And the reason why I chose a cemetery is that one day, every white man, every white woman, every black man, every black woman, every Asian, everybody will be dead. Will be dead. And I looked around and I saw some graves here. The people have been dead since the early 1900s or longer. And I decided to come to a cemetery because all the people in here that reside here, their bodies are dead. Lord willing, they've been saved and their spirits are on the righteous side of dead, but their bodies are dead. And I said to myself, before I go to the great beyond, I'm going to do everything I can to lift my voice because the Lord thy God allowed me to lift my voice and speak for my fellow human beings that are being mistreated. I really don't care what color you are, what pigmentation you are. I don't care if you're gay, straight. I just don't care. I love you spiritually. We may have a right to remain silent. But I say if you believe in God, you have an obligation to speak up. You have an obligation to stand up. You have an obligation to protest in every legal, peaceful way that you can. You have an obligation to take the money that they have and put some away. You have a moral obligation. You have a moral obligation. Do you love or do you hate? Do you choose who to love based on their sexual orientation, their pigmentation, their nationality, because I love everybody spiritually. And I will not change that. Ain't gonna get me to turn around. I'm not gonna turn around. I'm not gonna turn around. I won't go back. I won't apologize. I will not retreat. I will legally, ethically, spiritually, and peacefully be the toughest hombre that you have ever heard of. I will fight for every black woman. I will fight for every black man. I will fight for every Middle Eastern man, every Middle Eastern woman. I will fight for every Asian man and woman. I will fight for every white woman and white man. I will fight for the needs-based disabled. I will fight for the older Americans, aka senior citizens. I will legally, I will ethically, I will peacefully, and yes, I shall financially fight. And I will remember the words of the Tuskegee Airmen. We fight, we fight, we fight. Now we must fight legally, peacefully, ethically. We must put our money and lock it up. $50, $100 every paycheck. And when we take it out of the economy, you better believe Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and the entire Republican Party is going to pay attention. You better believe every Democrat throughout the United States will pay attention. I give no one a pass. No Democrat, no Republican. And it is our moral duty for everyone that will be 18 years old or older in November. It is our obligation, it is our duty, it is our moral duty to vote. So when you see this video, if you have not registered to vote, you shall vote. If you don't believe that who you want in will win, you shall vote. If you know you have no chance of winning, you shall vote. If you know that your vote won't count, you shall vote. You shall vote. You shall vote. If you're wondering why I say, even if it didn't count, you shall vote. It is because as Americans start uniting together, Democrat and Republican, atheist, agnostic, and Christian, if we will unite, we shall win legally and peacefully. We shall win the fight. And there will be enough work for everyone in America. If you have doubt, do not say you believe in God. If you have doubt, then don't look at history, because history will prove you not to be accurate. So many doubted JFK when he said we would go to the moon. We went. So many said that Spacex couldn't do it. They've done it. There's another great song that I like to think about. We shall overcome. I say to you this date in history, we have overcome. Now we must catch up with the timeline. Now we must demand peace for all, prosperity for all. We must not have anyone be relegated to entry-level work only. It is fine to have entry-level work, but we must have opportunity for all men and all women. Education for all men and all women. My name is Albert J. Torcaso. And because I believe in the Lord God and Jesus Christ, I shall not go back. You ain't gonna turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. I'm gonna keep walking, talking, going, and marching up to Freedom Land. I'll keep walking, talking, marching up to Freedom Land. We shall overcome. We have overcome. Now, do I approve of this episode? By the Lord thy God and Jesus Christ, I approve of this episode because it is the right thing to do. And those who would object to the protest of these men and women, I ask you, how would you feel if for over 400 years you have been mistreated, abused, and murdered? I ask you to close your eyes right now and with love in your heart, compassion in your heart, picture what people have gone through. I ask every police officer in America and law enforcement officer, please get rid of the code of silence. Please get rid of the thin blue line. We want to trust you again. We want to be proud of you again. We are proud of you, but many of us do not trust you. And even if you are innocent, you, sir, you, ma'am, must police those who are criminals, masquerading as police. You may be a good police officer, a law enforcement officer, and I believe you are. Get rid of that code of silence. Get rid of the thin blue line. Let not one more American of any pigmentation die at the hands of those who swore to serve and protect. I approve of this episode because, frankly, all of you matter to me. Thank you. Now get out there and protest, even if it's virtual, and take all of your $50 or $100 of every paycheck and lock it up and do not use it until we legally are victorious. I love all of you, and thanks for watching.